right, so welcome to Game Plan Sunday. Today is Happy Love Day, February 14, 2021, as we kick off this week's session. Now, this week is going to be a short week due to President's Day. Tomorrow, February 15th, the stock market and bond markets will be closed, so you guys can get to some extra love making out there on President's Day. But overall, the markets this past week were pretty good. The major indices topped off the market with new highs. Actually leading the assault was the Russell. So the Russell 2000 came in at like 2.51%. The NASDAQ was second runner up at 1.73%. And the S&P 500 was at 1.23%. The Dow Jones came up at 1% as well. But what actually took the cake last week was oil. Oil came in at almost 5%. And so if you guys watched last week's Game Plan Sunday video, you guys can know we talked about that in last week's Game Plan Sunday session, which I'll go over that with you guys on the charts where I'll show you guys the Goldman Sachs target, which I believe is like $65. And what I was saying in last Game Plan Sunday is that Goldman Sachs target is pretty low for it to be a summer target. I believe that we'll hit that target this spring. This is what I was talking about last Sunday session. So we'll hit that target by spring. This is my outlook. And actually, for the summertime, I'm expecting $80 a barrel oil prices and possibly $100, by the end of the summer. We have to see how this all play out. But that's what we were looking at. The gold markets came in, pretty, flat, up about 0.53%. So not much movement in gold, but a lot of the other commodities are actually moving super, super, super big. In particular, lumber, wood is actually just the price is like just going crazy on wood. And you say, well, why is lumber going up? Well, lumber's going up because you got this crazy housing booming that's going on. Now, the interesting thing I was seeing in Manhattan, they're having like an exodus, and landlords are doing extra tricks to try to get people in on their properties, like giving free rent and stuff like that, because they're struggling big time. So again, you see in this exodus of people coming out of the liberal states, the New York and California, and they're trying to get themselves positioned for what is to come. And we'll talk about some of that here in a few with this new direction that America is headed to, is making things interesting. But anyway, you have the exodus coming out of those states, and they're coming down south. A lot of companies are, coming down. So Texas is a hot area. Texas has been a hot area. One of the best housing markets in America. And, for the local Texas they're not feeling it, okay? Because everything is increasing when everybody's coming down there, driving everything up. Texas is a beautiful place. But you have a lot of tech companies that's moving their operations there. The cost of doing business is much cheaper. You have less regulations and things of that nature. So it makes sense for corporations to do so. But also you have people that's migrating to get those jobs also, to get those careers. And they're coming from places that pay higher salaries like New York, and they're going down south. And, you're looking at guys who, making money living in apartments. They come down south. They're like, yo, this is crazy. Y'all got nice houses for this cheap. It doesn't make any sense. New York is like Gothic City. So anyway, you get some nice, bang for your buck. So it just makes sense, So we're seeing the houses, more houses being built. People need more space. You got this work from home economy that we're in now. And I've been saying this for years that, once, employers figure that out, that, there was no turning around. Once they figure out that they can cut expenses by having people to work from home, it's going to be permanent. OK, and that's what we're basically seeing. But you got to have a catalyst for that. And that's the, the whole COVID situation. So that's what we got on that. But overall, the markets, like I was just saying here earlier, that it was pretty good. And so on my dashboard here, you guys can actually check out what I'm showing you guys here. It's the Dow Jones looking pretty good. NASDAQ looking pretty good. And these are daily, these are charted on daily time frames, but you can see the trends looking pretty good. Take a look down here at oil. Let's go switch over to red. So we go switch over to oil. You can see it. Look at the trend right there. It's going crazy high. That's the way everything is going. Natural gas, gold, however, is pretty cheap. You actually look at gold, It's actually pretty cheap. And then take a look here at corn, which is pretty high, wheat. All these things is food. This is all inflationary. Okay. So I was just having a conversation with my son. We were just talking about oil. You know, when oil goes up, what happens? You have to think. Okay. So one of the things that's different about Wallstreet Jackboyz is that I love teaching. Y'all know that's what I love doing, but I also love learning. And the more I learn, I got to teach somebody. I got to get it off of me. Okay. So oftentimes we'll talk about some of the big themes that's beyond traders, understanding like certain economic factors. But in particular, when oil goes up, this is a proxy for inflation. And yes, Dustin, the markets will be closed tomorrow. So, but yeah, so basically, yeah, it's gonna be closed tomorrow. So basically, when oil prices are going up, okay, what happens to the cost of everything else? They go up, right? If I want to order this book, it's got to get shipped over to me. Somebody has to pay for it. So corporations don't like to incur those costs, and so they will typically pass those expenses on to consumers, and you'll see prices of things, prices of goods going up. Okay, so things are going up. People are trying to get these things, and so the Feds, they have this goal of trying to hit this 2% target. In fact, they raise it to 2.5%. They want to get this inflation up higher. So the Feds, they want to create inflation. Okay. You got to understand that's their goal. And they want to do it because they believe that it will increase the standard of living of everybody else by making the price of whatever your cost of living more expensive, which I find it very interesting because, it's because of their intervention, their interference in creating inflation that you have the economic disparities that people are complaining about today. This week we had Powell at the Economic Club. I don't know if you guys saw it, but all of this is posted on the website. So make sure you subscribe to Wallstreet Jackboyz if you haven't. Make sure you go there, check it daily, check the news feed. It's always some juice, and spend less time on Facebook, Fascist Book, or whatever. That's why we got our own platform. Can't nobody ban me on my own platform, okay? So we get it in. So just toggle over here to the Wallstreet Jackboyz platform. You guys can see it right here. All right. So the Feds, they have this target to try to, push all this stuff up. And this is what they want to do, push the inflation up. And they want to do that because of the reasons that I just mentioned. So this week we had the Economic Club, Fed Chair Powell. He was there. He was talking about the economy and everything. And I talked about this previous times before. A lot of the things that they're asking the Feds to solve, the Feds are actually the problem, the reason why it's in the place that is in the first place, like things like the inequality gaps and stuff like that. But the Feds are actually creating it. And so the Feds don't have the tools to fix these things, but yet people just seem to subscribe that the Feds can, but the Feds cannot. The markets, it's a natural system. It doesn't even need a Federal Reserve. On a gold standard, you don't even need a Federal Reserve. But America is moving more and more towards the socialist spectrum I was telling you guys about. And because of the Rona, it's actually making this actually come about much, much faster. And I was telling you guys about this in, Santa Claus's book, the Great Reset. So this Great Reset book, I mean, these guys, they lay it all out, like what their intentions are. They want to hijack the economy. This is what central planners want to do. And what Ludwig von Mises always try to tell people is that, listen, this is like, you have to let the natural markets do what it does, because the natural markets is the best solution to uplifting society and the standards of living, which that's true. That's what capitalism does. But we don't really have a capitalist society. We have a mixed economy. And Mises talked about that a lot, about having a mixed economy. Playing middle of the road won't cut it. Because what happens is capitalists will get the blame for all the debauchery that's happening. And so then we continue to move more and more towards that socialist spectrum. So anyway, those are some of the things that, we're having to deal with right now. We're seeing the most, monetary policies that the Feds are coming out buying so many billions of dollars of treasuries, expanding the money supply like never before. I mean, they're dwarfing what happened under the Obama years. I mean, this is crazy, but it's all because of the so-called COVID situation. Now, the stock market is pumping up crazy high on this. All right. In fact, Topaz, she sent me over an article about these SPAC companies, these special acquisition companies. They're like these blank check companies. but it's a super bubblicious market, okay? And it's speculating, it's going crazy, just like the GameStop situation is going. But they're kind of like IPOs. It's a way to get, access to these companies, that otherwise you wouldn't be able to in the primary markets, because we got access to the secondary markets, but not the primary. But these SPACs, they allow investors to be able to do so. So anyway, a lot of this money that the Fed's creating, it is going into the stock market, okay? The small guy who everybody's supposed to be fighting for, all this, wealth inequality, this, that, and the third, are just, becoming poor and not, becoming wealthy. Okay. But the rich gets richer, the poor gets poorer. And a lot of this has to do with asset ownership. Okay. I wrote an article about that. You can see it right in the blogs. If you haven't, check that out. It's about asset ownership. Most poor people can't afford owning any kind of assets. Stocks is an asset. So again, this pumping up the stock market. So whenever we get all the stimulus, the Fed's talking about more stimulus, stock market is rallying. Although we have weak economic data, like it's super weak, which we'll go over some of that here in a moment. But we have, on top of weak economic data, which is bad news, the markets continue to rally. It's because of the Fed's monetary policy. And then we got central government's fiscal policy, and a combination of these things, they believe that they can get us out of this whole situation. Now, the reason why we're in this mess is because of the government's intervention in the first place. Remember, I was telling you, people want, them to solve the problem that they started. It's ridiculous. They shut down the economy, okay, over the fear of this virus. Okay, so this is what is happening right now. You have, I just showed you guys the oil prices, just, oil is going up. The targets, they're going up. That's inflationary. All right. That's the proxy to kind of let you know the direction we're headed into. You got Saudi and them cutting oil, cutting oil supply and all of that. So that's also going to shorten the supply. The demand is still high. Now, what the markets are afraid of is that demand gets unleashed, okay, here in the next few months, because of, remember the government shut down the economy. It's still not fully open, but people have been pinned down for over a year. We've never experienced that ever in our free country of America. We never experienced that, but we did. And so now you have people that are hot and ready to get the hell out the house. All right. So that pent up pressure should be coming out of the house into the economy, spending money, traveling, moving, just doing things that, as we get more information about this whole pandemic, this virus situation, people are starting to get more comfortable. Where in the beginning, you didn't understand it. Like, I remember, you guys remember, like, it wasn't even, you couldn't even get your hands on tissue. You couldn't get your hands on a lot of stuff. Everything was just going berserk. You had no idea how this virus was going to play out. I didn't even know. I was afraid to hug my own mother. It was crazy. So, but once you start to observe it more and more, it's like, okay, well, it's not as deadly as, they were making it seem. You saw the news having body bags outside of hospitals and just craziness, right? And as we learn more about this, people are getting more comfortable. I see kids all the time. They don't have masks, college kids, they're just out, just living. It looks like it's not impacting, children. And in fact, this week, they're having calls to try to get schools open back up. And so they're fighting, trying to get schools open back up. But the other party's saying, no, wait till October or some crap. But kids are not dying. It's older people that's dying. So if you're older, then obviously you definitely want to take precautions. But young people, they're starting to come out more. And just on my timeline, just looking, I'm seeing a couple of my friends, they're traveling. Okay, so I got people that's going traveling, and we're still on lockdown. So once things open up, then under whatever guise it may be. So the guise is that, the disguise is that, you can go out now because we got vaccinations out. People are being vaccinated. But you got to understand, with the COVID numbers going down, like astronomically down right now, this is a seasonal impact. It's seasonal. So without a vaccine, they will go down regardless. If you take a look at these upper respiratory viruses, they circle around. They have these cycles every year. And so that was when I ran the data on it. You can see the numbers, they spike every year, seasonal, especially in the wintertime, and then they go back. They're going to have these seasons. But this past year, those things were not present, like the influenza and the pneumonia were not present. So everything is just, because of the Rona. But they will eventually go away because they're seasonal. Okay. And that's my other thing I was telling people is that the Rona is not going away. So you got to understand, why are you even getting a vaccine if it's not going to stop you from getting it? Just like any other vaccine, it's not going to stop you, right? You can still get it and it's still going to be around. This is an endemic. It's not going away. It's a upper respiratory virus. And now the question is, did we overreact to this thing? Obviously, we have overreacted. In China, they are open, they're booming, and they have positive GDP. America's GDP is just, it's a tragedy right now, and they're trying to get this thing jump started. So you have to anticipate that once they get the story out, because you always got to have a story, right? Because stories stay in people's minds. Once the story comes out, we got vaccines out, people feel more comfortable. It's a mental security thing. People comfortable, they come out, they start spending money again. So you should get inflation, you should get things to move as far as the economy go as we head into the summer. And they definitely want to have it up by the summertime. But the fear is that you're going to have too much inflation, because now Congress, them already talking about passing a $1.9 trillion spending bill that gives $1,400 direct payments to the people and a $15 an hour minimum wage. So you got to understand that $15 an hour minimum wage situation is very, very tricky. It sounds good to a lot of people, say, yeah, people should get that, but you don't understand how economics work. What happens is the employer who's trying to hire people to work for them, if they can't afford this because their profit margins would be, shattered, then they have to fire people. So you'd be unemployed at a $15 an hour minimum wage. Now, they're tricked, because it's always tricky when you're dealing with these guys. They're planning on actually rolling this out, phasing it out over the course of like 4 years to get the minimum wage up to like $15 an hour. But this is going to price a lot of people out of the market, when you're going to have even more, unemployment at higher unemployment rates. So this is not good. Anyway, they talk about a lot of this stuff in this book. OK, I'm telling you, these guys have it planned out, Klaus and all of them, how they want this economy to be. We got green energy, this whole Tesla stuff booming, people getting caught up in these electrical vehicles. Me, I'm old school. I don't really care about the electrical vehicles. After watching one of these movies where somebody just like hacked somebody's computer and they couldn't get out the car and it crashed the car. No way. Keep it old school for me. I need full control, not no computer that can be hacked. Too much risk with that. Plus, traveling long distance, it is super inconvenient. The time it takes to charge the car, and you got to book a hotel and stay overnight, for that type of stuff. So it is not where it should be. In fact, I was looking at an article that was talking about Thomas Edison and Henry Ford tried electrical vehicles way back in the early 1900s. I didn't even notice. I thought it was interesting, but it didn't work. It reminds me of how Steve Watts from Apple, he had these smartwatches back in the 80s and it didn't work. The same way we had virtual reality back in the 80s and it didn't work. And now they're trying to bring virtual reality back and it's still not quite sticking. Okay. But they had introduced these things and they're trying to get these things to pop. And I don't mind the natural market, the natural economy actually, taking on to these things. But the problem I have is when the government is actually coming in to try to incentivize and create demand for these things. And the demand is not there for these electrical vehicles. If they were, then the government wouldn't need to incentivize, these companies to do so. So now you got, GM and Ford, these guys are talking about phasing out coal fuel cars by, I think, 2030 or something like that, but not too far in the future. And so now the government sets the incentives and companies start to try to compete for those things. And it's artificial, but it could work. But you have to be careful what you ask for. All right. So I just want you guys to understand you got to be careful what you ask for and what this means for you. OK, the same thing with the whole crypto world. So crypto world, I like Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin without all the mainstream, people in it. You guys got to understand when Bitcoin came out, it was, it's a tulip bulb mania. It's tulip bulb. This is going to crash, destroy, it's worthless. And, you fast forward to 2021. Okay. And I told you guys a couple of weeks back, I was invited to a grayscale thing I did. And they are pumping Bitcoin like crazy. So you have to use your common sense. Why are these same people who were enemies of Bitcoin supporting Bitcoin? I like Bitcoin without all of that, right? because the whole idea of it is decentralized and all that stuff. So I like that. And gold basically does the same thing. But you see, gold prices are not going anywhere. They want to keep people away from gold, but they want to steer people to Bitcoin. You have to understand what is the angle here, okay? So as the Feds continue, as they actually look to hijack this economy, we're basically going socialism. I mean, that's just basically what it is. I can't sugarcoat it anymore. We're going socialism. Universal basic income is going to be coming here. Digital currency, you still seeing coin shortage signs when you go to restaurants, when you go out. They're phasing out this, the old school currency, dollars. They're going to destroy it basically. And they're working on a digital currency. So I think that it's all to get the mental adoption of digital currency by promoting Bitcoin for that purpose. But, understand you can't never trust them. Okay. So even for the Bitcoin guys out there, you can't trust these guys. They're going to try to destroy Bitcoin, but they're going to use Bitcoin in the meantime to get the mental adoption so they can roll out the government's digital currency. Then you're hooked. It's too late. It's no turning back once you go there. And so they're using Bitcoin to do that. Okay. It's nothing against Bitcoin. I think that the Bitcoin people out there, they have their good reasons, but it is what the government and these mainstream people are doing that you have to watch. It is to get the mental adoption of going digital so that when they roll out the digital dollar, you're already acclimated, okay? And then they will try to destroy Bitcoin, sabotage it some kind of way, say it's for criminals and thugs or blah, blah, blah. They'll find some way to sabotage it, okay? They always do. And they're just, flat out ban it, okay? You have China that banned it. I think India banned it. So you have countries that can ban crypto. But crypto was on fire this week. So some of the stocks that were actually popping, again, I have a crypto, let's show you guys a crypto watch list here. And in the crypto watch list, crypto exposures, these lists of companies right here, you can actually take advantage of the crypto movements here, like MSTR, PayPal. These guys are all into it. Square, you got Visa, you got MasterCard, but Riot, this one right here is the one that we've been talking about. That's interesting how it behaves to my Fibonacci extensions like that. But this is where, movement was at this week. So the crypto names, and this is in the equities markets. Okay. So if you don't want to hold the digital currency stuff, you can actually get exposure from these names that I'm actually throwing up here. And Bit Digital, okay? So these are some names. These were all popping. And then also you had the weed stocks that were jumping also. So the weed stocks are popping, and then they came down at the same time. But this is how volatile the markets are right now, okay? You got a lot of, you got a lot of pumping and dumping going on. Look how high Tilray got up to $67, and then it comes falling, crashing down to $30. Doesn't that kind of look like GameStop? Yeah. Yeah, doesn't that look like GameStop? So these are the names that's popping. This is a very volatile market, though, right? You have a lot of speculators that's in the game now, a lot of irresponsibility that's going on. And this is all fueled by the Feds, obviously, where us normal traders who's, normally in the markets, we're not really phased or, oh, you see something popping going crazy. The guys who's new, oh, did you see that stock? It went to the moon. I'm getting on it. And so by the time they get to it, they're actually on its way down. You got to understand that you got to be in the moves when it don't look like a move. It doesn't look like it's going to move at all. It's the ugly times. Those are the times that you want to get in and ride the wave up. By the time it looks like something you want to get in, that should be your cue that this is not the time to get in because you're going to get fed up. All right. So just keep that in mind. But weed stocks are popping. They've been popping for a couple of weeks, actually. And then the Bitcoin stocks also. And in fact, let's take a look at Bitcoin itself. It's up to almost 50,000 and it's definitely going to hit that 50,000 target. It is extended. It's in the overbought territory. So we can probably get up to about 51, 52,000. Before we start to see some chop. I think we're going to see some chop sideways action up here. But that's where we are with Bitcoin. As far as the indices go, with the S&P 500, that's right. So that's it. The traders are taking advantage of. Yeah, traders are always, these guppies are always taking advantage of here. But here is the S&P 500. We're a stone's throw away from 4,000. Right here on the target, you see my 1618. extension right here at 40,000. We're so close. We're definitely going to hit that target more than likely. But I think we may tap her off, at this zone. Now, JP Morgan, they have this $4,400 target for the end of 2021. So we have to see if we can get there before the Feds cook the economy, which I believe the Feds are going to cook the economy with inflation. I think inflation is going to get beyond their control. So you got to watch that. Let's take a look at oil here. And here go the target I was telling you guys about. This is from last Game Plan Sunday, but just take a look at it again here. You got people that's getting vaccinated, so mentally they're in the mindset that, hey, they want to go out and they're going to travel, they want to start spending money again. So you get places start to open up more. That's what everybody's expecting. Now, Goldman Sachs had this summer target of $65. Look how close we are. We're already there. Okay, we're about to blow through this. Don't even worry about it. Gas prices are going to be going crazy. So before summertime, by the time summertime gets here, I'm looking at let me take you to a weekly chart. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, so if you take a look at these tops, all right, take a look at these tops in here. All right, bingo. All right, that matches the Goldman Sachs target. So obviously that's where they are. We're stone's throw away from that. We can hit that damn target this week. Okay. So for me, that is, oil still rocking high. I think that it once we get there, because it is overbought. Okay. So it's not going to be a straight shot all the way up. I think we'll get some tapering off up here. We'll get the testing this ceiling. But eventually, I think we'll blow through. We'll knock out the previous target, which is 76.9. Okay. And we're right at my 127 extension, 81.74. So at 80, right around $80. This is definitely a go for the summer. Okay. By the time everything, things should start to open up more. You get that money flowing out of the system. Now, when I told you guys that I can also see $100 by the end of the year on oil, and this is my summer target. Well, the $100 target is from the 1618 extension right here. That just fits the narrative perfectly, okay, with all the inflation stuff going. And the Feds, they do not want to raise the interest rates. We see the bond market is definitely flashing signals here. But, the Feds, they don't want to do that. And, because it'll pop the bubble. People can't afford, higher interest rates, okay? But they got the interest rates low to try to entice people to buy these houses. That's why we've seen people buying all these houses and craziness. And so the VIX is actually interesting because the VIX is the fear indicator. And the VIX has been holding this target here for quite some time. I'm on a weekly chart here. Let me dial back into the daily. But you guys can see on my, let me just drop this real quick. As you guys can see on the floor down here, this target has been holding very, very well right here, right around $20. Now, the price of the VIX is starting to leak underneath this target. So that's definitely something to watch for. And we're in the oversold territory, but we could, come down and test this $15 target. Okay. So that's something to watch for. The VIX falls, the equities will continue to shoot higher. Okay. So that's the expectation going into that. And while I actually cover a couple of other topics real quick, if you guys can drop just a few names of stocks that y'all want to take a look at real quick, and we'll try to go over them. Well, it's a couple of different topics right here on the website, WallstreetJackboyz.com. You guys can check out. We talked about the 1.9 trillion stimulus bill that's coming out. That's going to be very, very interesting. China has these anti-monopoly rules targeting, tech companies. This is more socialist type policies. China plans to hand out $1.5 million in digital currency tests during the Lunar New Year. You remember I just told you guys that these governments, they're going to launch their own digital currencies and they will ban Bitcoin or whatever, coin is out there, Dogecoin or whoever. So you guys can see that right here. But when you take a look at China, you're looking at America 10 years in the future. You get to see the future when you look at China. Okay. China's already ahead of us. All right. It's no beating China. China is already taken off. In fact, you need to have some investments in China. All right. They're producing goods and services. Americans, we're not producing goods and services. We're no longer we're no longer going to be a wealthy nation. Okay. That's just the way it's going to be. You're looking at the fall of the Roman Empire of America right now, where China is rising. We've been covering this for quite some time. But they're phasing out this whole digital currency thing, and you're taking a look at how they actually phasing it in, where they get the mental adoption. You remember I was telling you about why they pumping Bitcoin is to get you to mentally adopt digital currency. Well, here they're actually rolling it out to get it into circulation. So they'll give it like a prize. Oh, you won this, boom, we give you this. And then you go out and spend it into circulation. Well, you're learning right now from China. In America, guess what? They're learning from China also. America's learning from China. So just keep that in mind here. Goldman's talking about rising rates don't threaten the bull market. Okay, that's they're talking about inflation, because again, they believe that inflation means standards of living and everything else will go up. But you know, most people, with the cost of food going up, cost of energy going up, you're becoming poorer. You're not actually getting richer. So that's just ridiculous. Robinhood sued by the family of the 20-year-old trader who killed himself after believing that he racked up huge losses. I think it was like over 700,000 he thought he lost. This kid just went out there and killed himself, you know, on the railroad train. You know, for you Robinhood traders out there, you know, definitely consider getting a more professional broker, if you will. We use TD, but you got other, you know, platforms out there like Thinkorswim, not Thinkorswim, but Tastyworks is out there. TradeStation is out there. You got a couple of other good names out there. So just consider that with commissions being free, you might as well use a big boy, you know, brokerage. There we go. Dogecoin. We see Elon Musk pumping Bitcoin this week. So that's another reason Bitcoin was popping. Elon Musk popping, talking about Tesla. You know, they're actually, they bought $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. It's interesting. Elon is the troll of all trolls. But anyway, Brandon was actually trying to educate us here in the chat room on this Bitcoin mining apps, that now they're mining Bitcoin from apps on a phone. I don't know how they actually do this. I actually had a partner that was actually mining Bitcoin, and he bought a house down in Florida, and he basically decorated the house with solar energy, solar panels and stuff, because he said it was way too expensive to get into the mining business. You know, Bitcoin, you get the rewards. It wasn't worth it. So he went and got, you know, solar energy. So you have free energy. You can mine all day. And I think he had like a $30,000 rig with computers. You know, this guy had maybe like 50 computers, and these computers, they're set to mine Bitcoin all day. So, you know, but the guy was telling me how China was doing it, right? And China has warehouses of people, warehouses of computers that are mining Bitcoins. And basically, the more Bitcoins that they mine, the sequences to mine becomes harder and harder and harder. So it requires more power for you to, you know, decode these things. You're going to need more computers, and it's driving a lot of energy. And I was on S&P Global, and I was seeing they was talking about energy costs increasing, and you know, Bitcoin mining is the most expensive thing, you know, reasons why. But anyway, I don't know how, you know, I can't really imagine this being lucrative, doing it from your phone. You know, you're competing with guys that are, you know, with $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 computer setups that are having issues with trying to produce these Bitcoins and to get the bounties. And so anyway, but we have a crypto gang group for any, you know, Bitcoin, you know, enthusiasts, you know, definitely, you know, drop your insight in there on crypto. It's called Crypto Gang. It's right here on the side. All right, Crypto Gang. So definitely join that. You know, get your money. You feel me? Like, I'm not going to hate on Bitcoin. It's not my thing, but it's money to be made. So, you know, go ahead. We're talking about coal being phased out. Here we go. That's a chart. You could check that out. New York Stock Exchange chief warns that it may exit New York if stock transfer tax is imposed. You got to understand, all this spending, somebody got to pay for it. Those taxes are going to increase. So taxes are going to increase. It's another thing that is going to kill the economy. Okay. When those taxes increase, entrepreneurs, they have to maneuver. It makes them maneuver differently. You're looking at the New York Stock Exchange chief saying that, hey, did y'all do this? We're out. Okay. Well, you're already seeing people moving out of California, moving out of New York. They're coming to more of the conservative states because people don't understand how this stuff works economically. It sounds good. You know, tax the rich, blah, blah, blah. But okay, when you don't have a job, you understand then. No physical silver in London. Mining stocks set to skyrocket. And look at what the public is doing. Okay, this is an interesting article. You guys check this out. We got the gold and silver group also for you gold and silver enthusiasts. my man Alexi, he's not in here, but he got the he ordered the he got these silver dollars. I mean, they're pretty interesting, man. You got to see them. But anyway, y'all check that out. But supply and demand, basic laws of supply and demand. Silver is still ripe to launch it physically. You can buy the stocks, but you want the physical because they can't maneuver, they can't mess with the silver that much in the commodities market, besides the paper, but the hard asset, because there's a shortage. Okay, so supply and demand. You just play that off of the supply and demand, and you understand. Consumer, the CPI data we had that came out, so you guys can check that out. I'm not going to take too much time on that. Hedge fund titans. This is also telling you guys: the Feds inject liquidity in the markets. Sharks eat the liquidity. Guppies get the leftovers. The big dog top hedge fund managers. Check this out. You got all the top dogs who made all the money that they made. Okay, so the Feds putting this money, this stimulus, it's not going to the small guy. It's going to these guys. They're getting the money. The stock market is going up, and they're making the money. Chase Coleman, Jim Simons, Izzy Englander, Ken Griffin, Stephen Cohen, right? Bill Ackman, all these guys are in here. Now, we got a couple of these names in the Legends and Gurus. If you want to see what they're holding in their portfolios, check out the Legends and Gurus group. Make sure you join there and check out their portfolio. Maybe you can get some ideas for your own portfolio. Maybe you can learn something along the way. I'm always learning. I'm always teaching. So understand that's what this is all about. If you want to check out Powell's speech that he did this week at the Economic Club, it's right here on the website. Click that video and check it out. Facebook building a Clubhouse-like audio chat products. Listen, if it's on the internet, anybody can copy it, anybody can take it. That's what I say. Somebody can build a website just like this. It's on the internet, it's just like anything else on the internet. So just why you see like the electrical vehicle situation, because of computers, anybody can replicate it. So anybody can come in and take Tesla's lunch. Okay, you got a lot of Chinese companies that's already gearing up for it. We talked about Master P a couple of weeks ago, how he's teaming up with another company that's doing it, because it's like in the computer world, the barrier of entry is so much easier for people to actually join and to get in. So, but Clubhouse is another situation where Zuckerberg, he goes in. He's hanging out on Clubhouse to see what they got going. Once he see it, it's like, oh, it's no brainer. We can go build this out. Get my tech guys. We can do this right here on Facebook, right? And so that's interesting. I've been knowing about Clubhouse before it even launched, because I have someone that's been trying to get me into it, but I'm not into it. I'm not into the garbage stuff, and they were charging people to talk to these people who's supposed to be knowledgeable in the industry. Anyway, it was just weird. It reminded me of the schemes that they used to do, the old marketing. So you guys remember back at the clubs, if you ever used to go to the clubs and hip hop clubs, how they would actually have a line of people that they just leave outside the door, and they would let one person in every like 5 minutes so that the line looks like it's extra long. And then you sit and wait for like a whole hour to get in there. And when you get in there, it's like empty. It's like to create the illusion that it's popping. So this Clubhouse situation, to me, it looks like the same situation in the virtual world. I believe that's where they kind of got this idea from, to make it like it's exclusive, it's popping, and you'll wait in line. You had to be invited to even get it. I don't know what they're doing now, but when when my people was telling me about it when it first launched, you had to be invited to get in. So I got invitations for it, but I declined it because, again, I built our own Clubhouse right here on the website, Wallstreet Jackboyz. This is where, again, you get the education, you get the network, you get the news feed, you get the live chat room with the trades. This is, I don't know what Clubhouse looked like. I haven't visited, but I would say that this is better than Clubhouse. And this is where you need to be spending your time at, besides the garbage, feeding all the social media garbage. We got social networking here with straight value. The unemployment numbers came out. Again, they revised the other numbers. They came out worse, which we already talked about that. But the markets don't care right now because of all this stimulus stuff. And then the oldest bank, BNY Mellon, they're offering Bitcoin services. Remember, I told you, you got to watch these guys. Why are they trying to get into Bitcoin? What is their angle? Okay. Let's see. I think that's pretty much about it. Oh, Jay Z and Jack Dorsey. So Jay Z and Jack Dorsey with a new endowment to fund a Bitcoin development in Africa and India. You remember Jack Dorsey left, America. He's been living out in Africa. Now, what's interesting is Africa and India, they have a very young working population, and the cost of acquiring workers there is much cheaper. That's why a lot of times if you call these tech companies for, tech support, you're talking to somebody in India, blah, blah, blah. Why are they going to pay you guys $15 an hour? Listen, this is what I'm talking about. They raise the minimum wage $15 an hour. Oh, those jobs will be casted out to India, Africa, wherever people can speak English at. If they can barely speak English, they will hire them gladly. Okay, you will not get your job. You will be laid off at $15 an hour. But anyway, these guys, they've been over here talking about this Bitcoin situation. And this is a big move for Jay Z. In fact, Jay Z is actually featured in our Legends and Gurus group because I was trying to tell people that, hey, this guy he barely raps. This guy's an investment. He's an investor. He has lots of investments. So if you want to know what, Jay Z's invested in and stuff like that, you can check it out. Check out his profile in the Legends and Gurus group. See what he's holding, like Impossible Foods. You guys got Impossible Whoppers, or Jay Z, he was one of the first dogs. He was one of the first big dogs in Impossible Foods. Uber, Jay Z was one of the first people in Uber. So you check it out. Check out the Legends and Gurus, okay? All right. So I'm gonna just go ahead and end that there. Let me take a look at a couple of situations that you guys got going on, and we'll bring it to a close. Energy sector was rocking last week. Again, most of that was fueled by oil industry. The information technology sector, financials, communication services, utilities got murked, and consumer discretionary didn't do well. All right. What you guys got on your radar? Dustin says you want, let me see. Let me go back. This is a burning question. Why is data on CMG so down high? Chipotle? Well, they just had their earnings. Okay, they just had their earnings. Chipotle just had their earnings. And they're extremely overpriced. I ate at Chipotle last night, okay? And this stock is just way too expensive. I don't think they've reinvented themselves enough to even have this evaluation. Now, what's interesting is that Chick-fil-A, you need to pay attention to Chick-fil-A, all right? Chick-fil-A is off the chain. Obviously, you can't trade a stock. Everybody's dream to get that. But I went to Chick-fil-A. I've been going to Chick-fil-A. Their business model is off the chain. I don't understand why other companies have not caught on. But what Chick-fil-A has done, because of the square footage, okay, take a look at how they manage and how smart they are. The square footage from the parking lot to the building itself is being utilized, okay? All these other companies, they're not utilizing their square footage to generate revenue. Chick-fil-A, they got 10 people outside taking your orders with gadgets, right? You see a line at Chick-fil-A, you don't even mind because you're going to get through there very efficiently. So this is the power of the private markets that the government can't do. They need private markets, okay? But they're going to be destroying them at the same time. Very dangerous, slippery slope we're playing with. But Chick-fil-A, they utilize the parking lots. You can't even park in there, right? They got multiple lines out there. And then the building itself, okay, where you normally would seat people at, because of the lockdowns, they can't seat people in there. But what they've done, they basically turned the seating area, all that square footage, into storage, okay? It's a warehouse. They're turning their restaurants into warehouses. Why? The demand has never stopped. The demand is continuing to go. Even through lockdowns, they're getting even more demands. That's why they have lines packed out crazy. So it makes sense for them to order a lot of the supplies that they need in advance to turn their real estate into warehouses where you have supply chain shocks coming from China. It's hard to get things. So Chick-fil-A has outsmarted everybody. I went to Cookout months ago. They didn't have drink trays. I went back again a month later and they didn't have drink trays. I went to Cookout, was it last week? And the girl, she remembers me from there. She said, hey, we got drink trays tonight. I didn't even say nothing to her. I just rolled out my window. She was like, hey, we got drink trays. I'm like, wow, it's been like 4 or 5 months. Y'all haven't had drink trays. Who don't have drink trays, right? But you don't have to worry about that with Chick-fil-A, right? They're actually efficiently using their capital. They're using all of their real estate, okay? Drive by one and you'll see. They're turning their, dining rooms into like warehouses. You see boxes stacked all the way up, okay? That is very smart. I just love their business model. So I had to let you guys know about that. Like, that's just crazy to me. So anyway, it's amazing to me that nobody else has copied that model. Chipotle have not copied that model. This evaluation is overvalued for Chipotle. To me, it's crazy. They have not, you still got to walk into Chipotle to order. To me, this is ridiculous. CRSR. All right. Corsair Gaming. Corsair, isn't this the company that make the Rams the Ram sticks? I don't know. I didn't know there was a gaming company, but Corsair, I know that name. I used to buy Ram back in the day. But there's a squeeze on this thing here. I'm on a daily chart. It is up against some resistance up in here. Typically, what I would like to see for this thing to do is to actually get above the 618. before you actually have a long view on here. But pay attention to the 786. That's a hard stop right there. Okay, you can see it. Test, boom, reject it. Test again, boom, reject it. So if you are to play this long now, you know, take a look at that $47 target. That's where you should be exiting. All right. We have, oh, you said NVIDIA for the safer play. Okay. So NVIDIA. Yeah, well, NVIDIA, the move has already been taken off. This is one that Justin has been playing in the chat room. So if you guys on the chat room, the group, Justin's been, you know, talking about this for a while, him and Wesley. And this move is already taken off. Bingo, you should have been in here. We're right here at the targets where you should be selling out. So yeah, this is, I wouldn't say that this is the place to be entering. Not right now. And then Fubo. Fubo, interesting. Yeah. It doesn't really have a setup on it just yet. But if you take a look at the pattern here, okay, being we rose up to the 786. That is your hard target right here. We can see here again when it spiked through and came back down, rejected. So now it's right here. You got a floor that's forming right here. Okay, so you bounce here, and this candlestick right here looks like it's trying to do a fake out to come back this way. So when I say fake out is because you see the trend is going down, the momentum is going down. So that may trick investors to be trying to go short, but they could rip their heads off if it comes up this way. So if you're playing this long, definitely eye that $55 target, and it could blow through that. This pattern is a common pattern, this 1-2 step pattern. So we can see that. Okay, it's just not really too clear yet until this floor is established. AMD is still in the setup as an alternative to NVIDIA. Okay, cool. So AMD with it. Yeah. Okay, I like this one much better. Thanks, Justin. Yeah. AMD looks much better. The setup looks much, you know, cleaner. You can see the 100 moving average as a clear support. Bingo, bounce. Hit that $99 target, $100 target, bounce. Still right on that 100 moving average. So I was telling you, Jonathan, those moving averages, man, they work like clockwork. They work like clockwork, B. Like, definitely keep those on. And then you got a buy trigger in here. You got a trend up here. You got the squeeze in here. And you got that $100 target for another test to see if we can blow through there. Okay, so I definitely, I like that one better than the rest. GE, we talked about GE in the chat room also. So this is another one with a squeeze on it. All right, you got the squeeze right. You got the trend going up, the squeeze up, momentum going up, and it's piercing through that 618 right here, that 618 retracement. Bounced off the 50, which is moving in this direction. You have a target right up here, these two targets right here. So those are some plays to look at right now. Remember, tomorrow the markets are closed, you know, for President's Day. Today's Valentine's Day. I can't, you know, express how much I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. We have such a brotherhood here at Wallstreet Jackboyz. It's not all about me. I want to create a platform that everybody can do their thing, get their shine on. And that's what we actually got. We have a community of smart people. Okay. And I appreciate you guys showing up every week. Even Wesley, all the way in Africa, this guy can get up and he can be in the chat room every day. It's no excuse for you not to be in the chat room getting it in also. So with that, we'll bring the session to a close. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace.